up? What's up, my niggas? Hello.
Talk about
things that are bothing us. We are dissecting the fact that we are woke.
Yeah,
woke.
Stay woke.
Yes. Oh my God.
Hashtag stay woke.
Stay woke. I think it's a culmination of what's been going on.
Yeah.
In our country, the past. Can we really say? I guess the past year, starting from it's not called an acquittal, but starting from the acquittal from the ICC, I don't think it should have happened because you can't tell me that Ocampo, because he had investigators on the ground, right? That's where they were getting the evidence.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that they narrowed down to those 3 people and then suddenly there's no evidence.
There's no evidence.
It just...
Most of it was because political interference, number one.
Yeah.
Because there was so much interference that the evidence was tampered with.
It was compromised.
Yeah, it was compromised.
The witnesses were compromised. They were threatened. Yeah. They were bribed.
They were bribed,
I guess.
some of them. So.
But that's just like it makes you lose faith in
the judicial justice.
Just justice globally. Like if the ICC cannot it cannot even try you.
The fact that the same people who suffered the most, like the people in Eldoret, the people in Nakuru,
the displaced persons, the people who lost
people,
family and friends,
are the people who are celebrating. You know, like there were celebrations and jubilation in Eldoret when the case was thrown.
But are those the people who are affected? No?
But you are affected. Either you are a victim or not, you are affected. Like you had to stay.
Because it happened. There was chaos in your life.
There was chaos in your life. Yeah, there was a disruption in.
It's just that blind tribal, loyalty. That's what it is. Like blind tribal loyalty. Like someone on social media, I don't remember who posted, but they had a very, can I say, pertinent question. Okay, on one hand, you have this Dr. Ndi who wrote, I think he's a doctor, who wrote the article in The Nation, basically saying, in a nutshell, that if Raila does not win in 2017, Kenya will burn.
Yeah.
He basically said that. And so setting aside that kind of irresponsible...
And way of thinking.
Yeah, it's like it's this guy or it's no one. We need to be more informed, I guess. And myself, I'm throwing back the question to myself as well.
What are you doing?
Being informed about who are you voting for, what have they done. You can't just vote articles. This person's name is familiar.
The issue I have with that is, I read something that Mussolini, I know that it's him who said it, but it's one of those notorious people from the past, who said, it's not the people who vote that count, it's the people who count the votes.
Wow. But I'm going to counter that. Your awareness starts with that moment of voting, right? Saying, okay, I'm going to consciously vote for the people who I have looked into and I've decided that they can bring me development, not because of tribe, nini, all this stupid, because you were given money, right? That first conscious decision gives birth to another conscious decision of once that person is in government, then I am consciously following your development because my choosing you was not a knee-jerk reflex. It was, I believe in you as a leader, therefore I'm going to follow your development. And I will look at it and I will question. Because I've questioned myself before the voting process, I continue to question you as a leader. Are you delivering? But if from the beginning, before you even vote, you're just over there, you're already a vegetable.
Exactly.
Whatever spices someone is putting, you're just okay. If you're over 18 and you're telling me I'm not voting, bitch, don't even talk to me, just walk.
That was my initial...
You need to.
That was my initial, because
if you can't complain if you've not taken a step, if you've not done anything.
But this goes back to me losing faith in
the whole system.
The whole system.
Yeah. You're right.
There are people who pull strings. There are people who are in power.
Yeah. There are people who are behind the curtain.
There are people who already know who the next president is going to be, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So that was me. you guys just do you. You know, it's fine. You know.
Okay, what I'm gonna say to that is, I remember watching last year I think was 27 years since Sankara, the second president of Burkina Faso.
I love him.
I know he was, and how people kept the hope alive. Like 20 years of, like, it's just word of mouth, like it's literally oral tradition. People talking about the kind of man that Sankara. This man came into power and he just took everyone back to zero.
Yeah.
He said, you're a leader, you're supposed to be serving your people. Why are you driving your Mercedes and people are going hungry? People cannot afford to go to school. People cannot afford healthcare. And he started there. Budget cuts in government. Yeah. Imagine, he's so outrageous that at some point he was like, guys, ministers are going to start carpooling. Like 2 cars between ministers. And then eventually, of course, it became one. But it was like the cheapest car available. Like they were driving the cheapest Ford that was available at the time. And it's a small thing, but it's the spirit of it. Like, I'm not here to fatten my coffers.
Yeah,
I'm not here to...
That is what people get into government nowadays, to do that.
Going back to my point about Sankara and watching him, and 27 years of having Compaore as their president, bleeding them dry as some leaders are currently bleeding us dry. I don't know. They got sick. Like they were having this conversation that we were having. Every single election, they're having that same conversation of we're sick and tired of this, we're suffering, we're not going anywhere, there's no development. Until I reached a point where the whole freaking country rioted, burnt parliament. Okay, I'm not trying to.
I remember that.
Burnt parliament, and Compaore was on the run.
Yeah. Sadly, I think that is where maybe the country is going.
We are.
We are. It's going to be a case of the French Revolution, where the rich are so out of touch, or like they're so
people
self-centered.
Are out of touch. Yeah,
they're like, how are we going to fatten our pockets?
How are we going to get richer?
How are we going to get richer? And yet there are people who are becoming poorer. That is why the cases of theft and like it's on the rise. Like this week,
even the level of frustration.
This week, I witnessed like 4 robberies, and you're like, there's nothing really you can do in public transport. You know, this is a means of transport you depend on, you rely on to get you from work to home.
Basically to live.
And for you to earn your living.
Yeah. And you can't trust it. The conductors and the drivers are in cahoots.
Yeah.
And it's just like that is, I'm not even surprised, because that's a reflection of the current state.
The state of the country, the state of the nation.
Of how we are, you know. You
greed. I think the number one thing that everyone needs to confess about is greed. Because everyone is greedy.
And avarice. You just want to get more.
Perfect analogy I read online was when Nakumatt was Uchumi was closing like a number of their branches. And retrenching like, I don't know, close to more than 500. Or thereabouts. This is because of like maybe just a handful of people wanted to benefit themselves, and like there are 2 or 3 children. You see, those are like at most like 20 people they're benefiting, but the people who have suffered are 500 people
with their families and their dependents. And no, even think a little bit further, the suppliers. The suppliers, because it has like, you know, like if you think of the people who supply fresh produce, exactly. Those are small suppliers, some of them. So even the suppliers and their families and their dependents.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in the tune of thousands who are suffering because of
for the benefit of 20, 30 people.
30 at most, even not 50, 30 at most, you know. So
and along the same vein, what is currently happening with Chase Bank happened with
an Imperial Bank.
Because Chase Bank under receivership. I know personally people who had their deposits there. Yeah, and they can't do anything about it now. For
a whole year. And who knows whether they'll get their money after the year is gone.
Yeah, you don't know. Because for Imperial Bank, the majority didn't. You couldn't get back. Change of view.
The camera ran out of charge.
Yeah. So and we're in the moment. Juices are flowing. You know, nobody is saying this, but I feel like there probably could be embezzlement somewhere there.
Definitely, I think there must be embezzlement somewhere.
There must be some kind of, and it's just You can't even say Akiwoye, oh, too bad for Chase, because just imagine Chase has been marketed as a bank for
SMEs.
SMEs,
Yeah.
the small, small business.
The monthly
turnover is like 15,000 or 20,000. You're a small business owner, which means that every penny counts. Every injection of cash goes to your suppliers, goes to your business, and these are the people who are suffering. These are the people who they don't know if they're going to be able to get their money back, their investment. We've reached a point as Kenyans where we don't care. We don't care. Like, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. There's like people struggling, and then you can see other people who are
importing the latest edition of Range Rovers.
Yeah. Or what I think even I've actually seen an increase in Jaguars on the street.
And Porsches SUVs.
I'm like, excuse me, like, which Kenya is this?
I know, we're not shitting.
I'm not shading your hard work.
Your hustle.
If your hustle is honest, I'm not shading it. But let's be honest. We need to be awake. We need to first start like introspection. Like, what am I changing? Nothing is forever. Change happens, and things fall apart, and there's a tipping point. There's always a tipping point, and you have to be a part of the process. Like the process of being awake and just not accepting the bullshit.